So welcome everyone to the Female Founders in Canadian Food Innovation webinar today with Plant Protein Alliance. If you haven't already, please introduce yourself in the chat with your name, city, and what you hope to learn today. Our schedule for today is a quick introduction, just let you know about who the Plant Protein Alliance is. And then we'll have 3 different speakers speaking for about 10 minutes each. And then a 10-minute Q&A session, a few closing notes, and then we'll have some breakout rooms where you can get into smaller groups and have a chance to speak directly to the speakers and discuss topics that you're interested in. So here's our team. We've got Barb Wilkinson, the Communications Director. We have Chris Glass, he's a marketing specialist. He helps me plan all the webinars. And myself, Shannon Staden. I'm also a marketing specialist. I joined Plant Protein Alliance in December, right after I finished university, and I've enjoyed it ever since. And here is our speakers. We have Angela, the founder of Prester Foods. She has an amazing story of how she transitioned from oil and gas into the world of plant proteins. As well, we have Laura, the founder of Little Tucker, and you might have seen her products in local grocery stores. As well, we have Haley, who's the co-founder of Puri Fava, which is an excellent source of protein, and she'll let you know a little bit more about it later. And actually, each of these founders represents a different province in the prairies. So we have wide representation of all the wonderful small businesses in the prairies, as it is a Small Business Week. A little bit about the Plant Protein Alliance. So Plant Protein Alliance helps connect people across the ecosystem, and we're helping Canada become a leader in plant-based processing. And why does this matter? It's important because Canada exports a lot of their plant-based ingredients to other countries like United States and China. So we send it out all raw, and then we import it back as a processed product often. So there's a great opportunity for us to do some of this processing in Canada to help support our farmers and create jobs in our local communities. So our mission is all about facilitating the development of this diverse, profitable, and sustainable plant protein and plant ingredient processing industry. And our vision is that we see that there's an opportunity to have highly functioning value chains, state-of-the-art infrastructure, commercialized market-driven products, and be a key economic driver in the Alberta economy. We see that plant proteins are becoming increasingly available and popular across the world. And so there's an opportunity, since we grow these products here, that why not have the next Beyond Meat in Canada. So that's a little bit about Plant Protein Alliance and what we're working towards. As a relatively new nonprofit, we have made quite an impact so far. In 2019, we had 13 different events and workshops with over 2,500 attendees. And we did a member survey to see how we were doing. And our members said that they've been able to connect with others. As well, we had 80% of people said that they highly recommended our events. And as you can see, we now do everything online. And we're still finding that we have sold out attendance on the webinars, which brings me to my next point. I recommend that you get signed up for the monthly newsletters, as you'll find out first when we have our next events. As well, we have some really interesting industry stories so that you can learn about the different innovations that are happening in the plant protein world. For example, we had a story about co-op and how plant proteins are increasing there. We also looked at another engineer who's moved into the plant protein world. And we looked at the world of research chefs and how they design new products for companies. That was very interesting. I recommend you go and check it out. All the archive versions are on ppaa.ca, which is also where you can go sign up for the newsletter. And as a nonprofit, we do depend on our memberships to keep doing great events and keep building this ecosystem. So we do have a special promotion to encourage people to sign up. And if you sign up, you'll get an extra 3 months on the purchase of an annual membership. Just before we start, I'd like to also acknowledge that we have the Plant Protein Alliance CEO, Dan, here, as well as the strategic advisor, Dennis, and board chair, Allison, who will be able to answer any questions you have in the breakout rooms later. And without any delay, we will start with Angela from Prester Foods. So Angela, you can go ahead and share your screen now.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angela Oladewura. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Okay. Thanks, Angela.
Okay. So first, I'd like to thank Plant Protein Alliance for providing me with this opportunity to participate in this webinar today. So in this presentation, I will talk about Prester Foods as a company, how to transition from oil and gas engineering to alternative industry. I'll also talk about identify barriers and possible solutions in changing career or starting your own business. And I will finish with a concluding slide. So Prester Foods was established in 2017, a specialty food company. We have created a patent pending product line by combining the following elements: my personal experience of gestational diabetes and family predisposition to the disease, also my experience in compositional simulation and extrusion technology as a chemical engineer and petroleum engineer. Also, the director of the company, Dr. Dilys Oladewura's experience in nutrition and metabolic diseases has also helped us during this process. Also, we have collaborated with renowned food scientists and developers, as well as we've received support from the Ministry of Agriculture through the Saskatchewan Agri-Value Initiative and Product to Market. Also, we received funding from the Industrial Research Assistance Program from the National Research Council, Government of Canada. To get to know a bit more about us, kindly visit our website at www.vegscrumptious.org. So as we all know, the world is facing unprecedented time with COVID-19. There's also been sustained low oil price, as well as there's been a reduction in oil demand. Consequently, we've seen significant job losses across a number of industries, in particular oil and gas. So today, I hope that my story will encourage someone out there on how to implement a transition from either changing a career or starting your own business. The pictures on the screen actually shows my taking 10 years apart. On the left, I was in the North Sea carrying out production logging tool operation, and on the right, I'm standing by an extruder creating our alternative veggie rice product. So using extrusion technology, Prester Foods has created sustainable foods beyond wheat and a solution for diabetes and obesity. On the screen, you have our rice veggie on the left. In the middle, we have our veggie pasta, and to the right, we have our cereal. Also, kindly watch our video on YouTube channel and you get to know a bit more about us. Our contact details also displayed on the screen. So today, the question I'm trying to answer is how to transition from oil and gas engineering to an alternative industry. So in order to do this, I'd like to highlight transferable core engineering skills required for this transition. First, soft skill, which includes communication, adaptability, teamwork, and capability, of course, the willingness to learn. Again, we have problem-solving skills, which comes with the territory of engineering, analytical skills, which is essentially our ability to make sense of complex data to reach a valid conclusion. Again, technical skills, in my case, extrusion technology, process design principle, which includes conceptual design, pilots, plans, scale-up operation, fabrication, commissioning, etc. Again, of course, project management skills, financial modeling and forecasting, which is essential for business projection, and again, computer programming, coding capability, and simulation. Of course, contract and negotiation. as well. You may actually require to acquire additional training or certification for this transition. So what are the possible alternative industry? In this presentation, I've identified energy, which is normally the natural feed, which would include renewables, which is wind, solar, hydropower, and biofuels, or may also include fossil fuel, which is coal and natural gas, or in fact, nuclear power. Again, you may consider food processing like myself, or agriculture, pharmaceutical industry, water management, waste management and treatment, of course, banking and finance, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, or data management.
Right.
Again, business owner or entrepreneur. So what are the identified barriers and possible solutions? For the purpose of this presentation, I've identified four main barriers. I start with experience. Oftentimes people are reluctant or hesitant to change the career or to start a business because of lack of experience. In order to be able to overcome this, you may want to carry out your own research and analyze the industry of interest. Also carry out independent study online. There are free materials available for you, as well as you may want to connect with mentors of various social media platforms such as LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. Again, decide on the pathway to navigate into the industry of interest. For example, you may want to volunteer to work or acquire certification that will help you through the process. The next three barriers actually focuses on the case of you starting your own business. And oftentimes, one of the questions you may want to answer is, what do I want to do? And so to do this, you may want to identify the problems of interest you want to solve. So you need to ask yourself three main questions. What are you passionate about? Also, what problems is or are your local environment or economy facing? And of course, how does this fit into the United Nations Sustainable Goals by 2030? Again, once you've identified what you want to do, the next question that would often come to mind will be, how do I fund this project? So your funding options include the following: personal resources, government grants and loans, business financing, crowdfunding, network funding, and of course, incubators or accelerators. This is not an exhaustive list, so you may want to explore the option as you see fit. And of course, you've identified what you want to do. Now, the next question is, how do I do it? And so this is where you have to think about the actions you need to put into place. So the actions you need to execute a business concept are: first, create your own business plan. A business plan essentially is you've identified the opportunity, you know what problems you want to solve, you have a solution to offer, and then you need to look at your solution, how that compares to existing market, and then of course your competition. And then you need to ask yourself the question, why would my brand be the brand of choice? And then once you've done that, then you need your long-term and short-term forecast. And then that in itself is your business plan. Of course, there are organizations out there that may help you to actually put your business plan into place, and that might be something you may want to consider if you have difficulties doing this. Also, establish connection with stakeholders and keep partnerships as required. And finally, you need to put in the hours and stay committed to the vision. As we all know, no pain, no gain. During the course of the journey, you may get tired, you may get frustrated, but the passion will keep your drive going, and hopefully you will see the realization of your dream come true. And so in conclusion, I would say evaluate your skills for the desired industry or the identified problems you want to solve as an entrepreneur. Also acquire additional skills if necessary or form strategic partnerships. And finally, execute the career change or professional change or business plan as decided. And I'd like to conclude by saying just that, just do it. Thank you for your time today.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Angela. That was excellent. So I'll stop your sharing. And then next up is Haley, if you'd like to share your screen. Perfect.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. So today I am super excited as I am going to talk to you about my favorite four-letter F word, FAVA, and all the opportunities that FAVA has in the marketplace and how we've grown our business. So our story, all entrepreneurs start with a story or a passion. And so for us, it started 7 years ago when I was living in Guelph, Ontario, working a corporate sales job in medical device sales. My partner, Cale, had an opportunity to join his fifth generation family business and farm in Glenborough, Manitoba. We are both from Manitoba, so the idea of moving home was exciting as we saw huge potential in the agriculture industry. After moving home and back to the farm, Cale saw an opportunity to sell more fava bean seed to farmers. Farmers loved including fava in their crop rotation because it's a great nitrogen fixer, making it super beneficial for the soil health. But they couldn't find a consistent market to sell their fava beans to. Cale and I were perplexed as we saw these Snap Pea Crisp and these other pulse and plant-based innovations on the grocery store shelves flying off the shelves. And we thought, surely fava can compete with pea and chickpea. Why not fava in these products? Not long after our move, I became very passionate about living a healthier lifestyle when my mom was suddenly diagnosed with cancer. She was craving carbs due to her treatments she was receiving, and we began to look for alternative protein sources for her. Fava is a great source of protein and fiber and has a neutral flavor. I thought what a great ingredient fava could be added to some of these carb-heavy foods to boost nutritional content and maybe help give my mom a more substantial feeling with proper nutrients when eating some of the most craved foods. Together with my partner Cale, we founded Prairie Fava. My passion for health and experience in sales and Cale's expertise in agriculture helped us create Prairie Fava, bringing back this ancient bean and creating demand for fava on plates around the world. Sorry. Now, all businesses, you have to identify what's your problem. So what problem are you trying to solve and what is going to be the solution for it? So during the year of 2015 and 2016, I started conducting market research to see where fava could be a fit and what the current problems were in the plant-based market and how fava could help meet the growing demand for plant-based proteins. What I noticed was 55% of consumers are willing to eat more plant-based foods, but they need variety to choose from as part of a diverse and healthy diet. Consumers are always looking for healthier options, but 67% say they would eat more plant-based foods if they tasted better. Consumers from the ages of 24 to 34 buy plant-based foods to align to their purchase behavior and their moral ethics regarding environmental impact. And only 25% of consumers trust the food system. So the solution I came up with to some of these problems was introducing fava, not only just fava, but Prairie Fava's fava. Prairie Fava's ingredients add and complement plant-based offering for all types of protein consumers. Prairie Fava's ingredients can enhance the nutritional profile of a product without compromising on taste or texture, winning over consumers. Prairie Fava is proud to be vertically integrated, offering quality, traceability, and reliability to its customers and end consumers. Fava is a nitrogen-fixing and sustainable crop, which is going to increase soil health and yield. So our company, Prairie Fava, wants to be an industry expert in fava beans, dedicated to growing, processing, and packaging the highest quality fava products for the plant-based market. Our vision is to bring back this ancient bean and create fava on plates globally. And our mission is to grow and craft functional plant-based fava ingredients and products for a healthier diet and planet. As mentioned before, fava checks all the boxes when it comes to consumer trends: high protein, high fiber, allergen-free, gluten-free, soy-free, non-GMO, sustainably grown, and it's the most neutral in flavor, which makes it a great ingredient to add in various market segments and various product applications. As you can see nutritionally, fava is far superior and compelling as a pulse and plant-based ingredient in the market today. At Prairie Fava, we sell whole ingredients, from whole fava to fava splits to fava flour, and even our byproduct, our fava hulls. We utilize the whole bean and sell to various market segments. Now, saying that, we sell fava in in the North American market as an ingredient, and it has taken a lot of work, and it's still taking and requires a lot of traveling when we were able to trade shows, networking, research, collaborations, different forms of partnerships, and now, of course, attending lots of Zoom calls to continue to drive the growth of fava and educate to why fava is a great functional ingredient and is versatile for food products, healthy for the consumer and for the planet. Prairie Fava's main market is North America, but we have seen traction globally with sales to Japan, Vietnam, and Netherlands. And as you can see, if you're interested in the plant-based space, the plant-based market is huge, as just the plant-based food market alone is expected to reach $85 billion this decade. We do export as mentioned, but we are continuing to market fava as a great ingredient to be used in various food products. We are also excited to be innovating, and we will be looking at launching consumer products so we are right from our farm to your family's favorite product in your pantry. As a young company, market access is important to be able to sell and generate revenue and profits. But what has been a huge part of our success is being able to access different types of government funding. Programs like NRC IRAP, and if you are a woman-owned business, the Western Economic Diversification Canada program offers great loans and grant programs, and Can Export is another great program if you're interested in exporting. These are all key and have been huge part of helping us get traction in the marketplace. Sometimes as a startup or a young company, you keep setting new goals, so you feel like you have so much to do and wondering when you will see traction. But last year, we were honored to be the recipient of the 2019 Startup of the Year, which was finally a nice time to pause and reflect on how far we had come, which I think is important for all entrepreneurs and small businesses to do. Other strategic partnerships we are very proud of to date is our sister business, Jeffrey Seeds. This partnership is so important to us, as this is where we started and operate out of. My husband runs Jeffrey Seeds and I run Prairie Fava. We operate out of our family farm and seed business, but we still operate as two separate companies. There are so many synergies between the companies, and we are so grateful on how well the companies complement one another. My partner sells fava seed to farmers, and Prairie Fava buys it back and processes it. What a great partnership. Another very exciting and recent collaboration was with Protein Industry Canada and a global leader in plant-based protein, Roquette. A project of $19.1 million will help drive capacity and innovate with pea and fava and the synergies for them for the future ingredients of the world. Our investor partnership with District Ventures, Arlene Dickinson's fund from Dragon's Den. They are experts in consumer packaged goods, and as we go into that direction, they will be a great support for our launch of our products. We are so proud to be a vertically integrated company, from fava seed to contracting farmers to processing. Farmers are very important partners to us. Farmers see fava as being a part of a healthy crop rotation, as favas are the highest nitrogen fixing crop, meaning farmers can use less nitrogen fertilizer and improve soil health for future crops. But we have to continue to speak to more and more farmers across the prairie and as demand grows about the importance of sustainability and regenerative ag and how fava can play a part in this. As the old saying goes, it takes a village to raise children. So it must also take a small village to grow a company. These are some of the amazing team members who work alongside me and Kale to help grow Prairie Fava and to help make Fava famous. We wouldn't be able to do it without their support and their amazing smarts and their game-changing attitude for future innovation. We are so excited for the future of Fava. Unfortunately, my mom, who was our first source of motivation to start Prairie Fava, wasn't able to see Prairie Fava's official launch. She constantly told her doctors during the market research phase in 2015 and 2016, "You watch, she'll make Fava famous one day." That is a line that continues to inspire me. As an entrepreneur, you have so many ups and downs, but we have to keep going to fuel the world with Fava, to grow and craft functional plant-based Fava ingredients for a healthier diet and planet. I hope today you're inspired and you want to fuel yourself with more Fava, or just be inspired to jump into the plant-based market space. Thank you all.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Haley. So I'll stop the share and I'll start the share on the next one. So it's Laura with Little Tucker. Perfect. And can you see my screen?
Yep.
Perfect. All right.
Perfect. Thanks, Shannon. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura. I am the founder of Little Tucker, and we make guilt-free, plant-powered snacks and treats that keep you fueled throughout your day. So today I'm going to be talking to you about my journey with Little Tucker so far, and then the growing trend of plant-based eating. So Little Tucker was born when I moved to Calgary from Australia, where I had a background in journalism. And when I moved to Calgary, I realized that my dream of working in radio had to be put on hold because I was told over and over again that I talked funny. Believe it or not, my accent 7 years ago was a lot stronger than it is today. But I realized that I had something else to bring with me from home, and that was my knowledge and love of healthy, plant-based, wholesome food. When I moved to Calgary, I found myself faced with a problem for the very first time. One day I remember being at the grocery store. I was running in to pick up a quick snack in between running errands, and I went directly to the granola bar aisle or the snack aisle. And as you know, you're faced with hundreds of options that claim to be all natural and made from real food. But I'm one of those crazy people that read the ingredients on the back of a package. And when I did so, I discovered pretty quickly that they were actually all filled with unnatural sweeteners and syrups and preservatives and, to be honest, ingredients that I had absolutely no idea how to even pronounce. So I quickly realized that what we're actually being offered at the grocery store isn't a healthy snack like they're claiming to be. It's in fact just dressed up junk food. Shannon, next slide, please. You see, I come from a big Italian family in Australia, and this is how I grew up understanding food. So we grew everything, we made everything by hand, and we cooked it all ourselves. So I grew up with a very close understanding and appreciation for the food that I was putting in my body and fueling myself with. So one day when I was in Calgary, I basically started crafting recipes in my kitchen based on what I was missing from home. And I don't know if anyone's been to Australia before, but if you have, you may have realized that the food scene over there is very fresh, it's very healthy, and it's very plant-based forward. So yeah, I started basically crafting these recipes based on what I was missing from home. So everything was all plant-based and gluten-free and dairy-free and naturally sweetened, and it involved a lot of snacks. And I kind of had the realization that if I was struggling to find something at the store that fulfilled my dietary preferences, then there had to be more people out there that were feeling the same way. So I decided to basically take things into my own hands, and that is how I created Little Tucker. But don't get me wrong, I never had the intention of creating a nationwide business. This was something I thought would be a little bit of fun for the summer while I kind of figured out what I was doing with my life. Next slide, please, Shannon. So this is me at my very first farmer's market. It was in the parking lot of a Canadian Tire, and this was my big launch day. I think I'd spent about $5 on a logo, and I had put together a very grassroots website. And I had made what I thought would get me through the 5-hour market. I remember being so nervous, just hoping that 1 or 2 people would kind of stop by my booth and talk to me during the day. And I sold out in the first 20 minutes. And week after week, I had people coming back to stock up and telling me that they'd been looking for a product like this for so long and there was nothing else like this on the shelves, or they were so happy because they were finally able to eat something that was otherwise unavailable to them. So I realized that I was actually making a difference in the way that people were consuming and changing people's perceptions of what it tastes like to eat a more mindful, plant-based way. So this is where it all began for me. These farmers markets is what kind of fueled my fire. And it's how I became hooked on the determination to change the better for you snack industry to actually make it better for you. Next slide, please, Shannon. I'm going to skip a whole bunch of stuff in the middle. I've been doing this for about 5.5 years now, so there is a lot of ups and downs that I've been through, from hiring and letting go a whole team of people to move my production to BC, to getting investment from Arlene Dickinson like Haley did, and a whole bunch of highs and lows in the middle. But I just want to give you a tiny snapshot of how things look today. So today, Little Tucker is a national brand. So we are sold coast to coast in Canada at about 1,200 retailers, lots and lots of independents, but also a lot of the main chain grocery stores like Whole Foods and Sobeys Safeway, Save On Foods, Co-op. We have 5 different flavors. So we basically have like 2 different lines of products. We have our energy bowls, which is like our everyday functional snacking. And then the product that's on the very right is our more kind of indulgent treat. So that is our Snickeroo Bite, and it's basically a healthy take on a Snickers candy bar. It's definitely our highest selling product. But basically everything that we make is all filled with, they're really high in plant protein, healthy fats, fiber, and exotic superfoods to keep you satisfied and fueled all day long. Next slide, please, Shannon. So I just want to focus for a second on one of the biggest reasons that I started Little Tucker, which I mentioned to you earlier. So I just want to flash back to me being in the grocery store, in the granola bar aisle, reading all the labels like a crazy person. I just couldn't understand why there wasn't a brand out there at that time that was creating a product that was made from real food and real ingredients and finding a way to make it shelf stable. So from the very beginning, that's been one of my main focuses, to use pronounceable, recognizable, whole ingredients. So on the left, I have the ingredients that's in one of our products, our salted caramel energy bowls. And on the right is one of the most well-known healthy snack bars that's sold in Canada. So I'm sure that everyone has either heard or had a Clif Bar before. So our Clif Bar is one of our competitors on the shelf, and they use ingredients like the ones listed. And you know, you can already recognize that it's a really long ingredient deck. A lot of the ingredients aren't natural or aren't recognizable as kind of like everyday ingredients. And they market themselves as being good for you. So Little Tucker's philosophy is that if you can't pronounce it, you won't find it in our products. And luckily, the market has changed quite a lot in the last 5 years, and there now are multiple brands out there who carry this same philosophy and have created snacks that are so minimal that their ingredient list only consists of 1 or 2 ingredients. That I think is fantastic, and it's definitely a move in the right direction. However, I want to kind of take this philosophy of having a really, really simple ingredient deck and going a step further. Which is why I added superfoods into the ingredient deck that aren't really being used or weren't really being used 5 years ago in the mainstream market, to make a snack that's a little bit more substantial for you. So the superfoods that I use that you can see kind of listed on the left are predominantly focused on to benefit females. So there's ingredients such as maca powder So that one there is a root that's grown in Peru, and it basically helps balance out hormones and increase fertility in females. So as I said, not only are you getting something that tastes great, but it also benefits your mind and body too, and gives you a snack that's more functional. Next slide, please, Shannon. However, pronounceable ingredients wasn't the only consumer trend I was pushing when it came to the creation of my products. So the biggest consumer trend was actually plant-based eating. So when I started this 5 years ago, the term plant-based eating or vegan was not commonly known at all, which I know is really hard for us to believe now, considering how much that's changed and how much the plant-based market has grown since then. But I still remember being at those farmers markets and having to explain to people what the term vegan meant. When I kind of had it on my sign saying vegan, people would literally ask me what that was. I would also have to let them know that, no, I wasn't selling meatballs. These were energy balls, and actually having to convince people to try a free sample. They were all for it until they knew that it was vegan, and then they would basically run away screaming. So we can probably all definitely agree that things have changed so much in the past 5 years. Next slide, please, Shannon. And as much as things have changed, I will say that there is definitely still some gaps in both awareness of plant-based ingredients, as well as the perception about things like their ability, expected taste, texture, satisfaction. But in saying that, as I said, there has still been a huge increase in the amount of people that are at least receptive or open to the idea of incorporating some more plant-based ingredients into their diet. We've seen this over the past few years with a huge boom in the creation of plant-based innovations such as meat alternatives. We've all heard of Beyond Meat burgers, the hundreds of dairy alternatives out there now with nut cheeses and plant-based milks. And I've also personally found that the plant-based shift is particularly prevalent in the snacking industry. And I think that that's because there is just such a huge scope of opportunity when it comes to snacking, because everybody snacks. I think on average, people snack 2 to 3 times a day. So there's just such a huge opportunity when it comes to innovation and consumers. And snacks are kind of seen as the, sorry, Shannon, almost. Snacks are seen as one of the key opportunities in plant-based foods because they address other consumer desires. So it's not only that people are wanting to consume more plant-based foods, it's also that they're wanting to consume foods that are higher in protein. They want to consume vegetables in a much more convenient and accessible and functional format. And I think we need to look at it in a way that people are really busy these days. People are constantly on the go. If we think of people who kind of work downtown Calgary, it's very rare that those people would be taking 30-40 minutes out of their day to kind of sit down and have a proper meal as a lunch. A lot of these people are constantly eating at their desk or eating on the go in their car. So they need snacks to basically provide them with that boost of nutrients really quickly and really accessibly. Next slide, please, Shannon. So the last thing I want to address is the fact that people are kind of always asking me how they can incorporate more plant-based foods into their diet, or they can convince other people to do so. And my answer to that is to kind of build a bigger picture for people. So, you know, we're always talking about the environmental and ethical benefits of plant protein compared to meat protein. And we do that already, but that will, I think, become increasingly important. Because I believe that selling the environmental benefits of plant protein is a little bit less polarizing, a little bit less confronting than kind of discussing those more ethical issues like animal treatment in food production. As much as that worked for me, for a lot of people, this is kind of seen as a little bit too aggressive and a little bit too confronting. And unfortunately, it just doesn't work when it comes to convincing people to kind of make that change. So I think it's better to highlight those more ethical and, those more environmental reasons. And then the second thing I would say is that when talking to someone about shifting to plant-based eating, it definitely doesn't have to be an all or nothing kind of thing. I think we need to lead consumers towards compromising and reducing their animal protein intake with foods and snacks and beverages or whatever it might be that provide them with those plant-based proteins. I think that's a more acceptable option rather than expecting people to eliminate animal protein altogether and kind of asking someone to cut out their steak and whatever it might be, cold turkey. It's a very unattainable thing, although it is doable. It's very unattainable for people to just kind of become plant-based or vegan overnight. For me, example, I wanted to do it for 2 to 3 years before I actually made that step. It was kind of a very long transition period. And as I said, the expectation of having people do that overnight is a very unattainable thing. Next slide, please, Shannon. So I know that I kind of just skipped the surface on Little Tucker and what we are as a company, and also my kind of views on plant-based eating. So if there are any questions or discussions that you guys want to have with me, please reach out. And I would love to have that discussion with you guys. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Laura. Okay, I'll just change the slides. That was perfect. So as you can see, we asked each of the 3 founders to speak about a different perspective. So the perspective of changing industries, the idea of creating a whole new category with fava beans, and then changing perspectives with Laura and talking about venture capital. So I believe you got a pretty good overview. Can you guys see the slides here? Perfect. Okay. 1 second, please. As a quick trivia, what percentage of the world's venture capital do you think is invested in female founders? You can put your answer in the chat. So perfect. Got a couple suggestions in there. So it's less than 3% of the world's venture capital is invested in female founders, and less than 1% is invested in females of color. So it's definitely room for improvement in that area. So I wanted to highlight some initial funding that companies can apply for. So if you were inspired by your speakers today, as I was, with their fantastic presentations, you might be interested in this awesome program, which was announced today. They're offering funding for different areas such as labor and technical costs, digital marketing, capacity, training and registration programs. So very good opportunities there. The qualifications are that your company needs to be at least 50% owned by women. You need to be in the food or ingredient industry. As well, you'll need to sign up for their program. And you can get some more information at beawesome.ca. And before I start the Q&A, which will be led by Barb, I'll just let you know about our next webinars, which are Plant Protein 101, Fractionation 101, and Financing 101, as well. We'll have our Plant Protein Alliance AGM coming up in November. We'll send out a post-event survey after this. You can find out some more information about the speakers' companies and where to find their products on the websites listed here: littletucker.ca, vegscrumptious.org, and prairiefava.com. As well, the recording will be on ppaa.ca. And Barb, if you can now lead the question period.
Okay, thank you very much. Your presentations were really interesting and very different, so I appreciate that. So yeah, if you have any questions, just type them into the chat box and I'll read them out so that they show up on the recording for everybody. And we'll just go from there. So No questions for any of the three presenters? Very shy group today.
Angela, I was wondering when you will be launching your product line.
2021, next year.
Okay. So Allison would like to hear a little bit about getting your products onto the shelves and what that was like. Do you want to take that, Laura, first?
Yeah, I can take that. Experience getting product into store shelves. So for me at the beginning, I started by targeting food service. So I was in a lot of like fitness studios and a lot of the local cafes in Calgary. I think that was a fantastic way to kind of start and just get your kind of brand out there, and the barrier to entry is a lot lower. You don't need specific things on your packaging and all the rest of it. So I think it was a really good way for me to start. But I knew from there that I obviously wanted, like my main goal was to always be in mainstream grocery and to not make this like a niche product. So from there, it was just a grind. It was hitting the pavement and going into the kind of like independent grocery stores in Calgary, and just continuously dropping off samples to them, sales sheets, telling my story. It's always the best to kind of get yourself in front of the buyer, because a lot of the time, a buyer isn't interested in your product. Like obviously they want to know that it's a good product, but they're actually interested in you as an entrepreneur and your story. So I think getting, you know, yourself and your story in front of them is a huge, huge help. And then it gets to the kind of stage where you obviously can't go into every single store yourself, especially if you're expanding outside of your home city. So that's when, for me, a broker came into the picture. So I have a broker who's basically like a team of salespeople. There's a representative in every city, and their job is to basically go in and pitch my product for me to the buyer, drop off samples and all the rest of it. So it does get to a point where as much as you do still have that relationship with stores, yeah, you do start needing some people to give you a little bit of a hand with that.
Right. Yeah, I never thought of the personal relationships of being so important to get on the shelves. So.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's probably the most important aspect of my business is having those relationships. I mean, I have the local buyer of Safeway Sobeys on my mobile. He was texting me, wishing me happy Thanksgiving and all the rest of it. So nice. I know that like so many people say to me that business isn't emotional. And I just disagree with that so strongly. I just think that these relationships that you create with people, it's so important for your business.
Okay, thank you. Do any of you do any education like with children or younger people about plant-based diets or the plant-based world? No? Okay.
Yeah, I don't. I actually think it's a fantastic idea now that I'm hearing about it. My target market is more the mothers and fathers who are buying for their children.
Yeah.
Okay. I also agree with Laura, Barb, that not only plant-based for children, but I think organizations that are teaching children about agriculture and Canadian agro-processing is also super important. So I think there's Ag in the Classroom, and I think if Ag in the Classroom could incorporate more plant-based and what Canada's doing as an industry in the plant-based market, I think programs like that are very important.
Yeah, I agree, Haley. That's a good idea. And Deborah would like to know if funding was your greatest challenge. Do you want to, who would like to start first? Angela, do you want to start first?
Well, depending on the your level or the stage of your, I suppose, project. So at the onset, funding is not necessarily an issue because you have a lot of grants available from the government of Canada, for instance. You've got IRAP, you've got Savvy, product to market. So at the initial stage, not quite. But then as you go deep into it and you're about to launch your product to market, then funding might become an issue because you need bigger large sums of money to actually bring your product to the shelf, especially if you're going to the large grocery stores. So not quite. So depending on the stage of project.
Right. And Haley?
Yeah, there's so many great resources and government programs, and there's great supportive accelerator programs like District Ventures now in Canada. But I think part of the challenge is navigating all of these amazing resources and opportunities and funding advantages, and which ones make sense for your business and which ones, should you invest your time and energy into applying for, and which ones maybe you shouldn't. I think it's more the navigation of finding the right funding programs and the right funding partners for your business that can be challenging.
Okay. And Laura, did you want to add to that, or?
Yeah, I'm found that I haven't actually been, I haven't been able to use a lot of the funding available. I think that's mostly because I'm not really considered like an agricultural business, and a lot of the funding that's available is for agriculture companies. And so yeah, I'm actually not, like Haley was kind of mentioning a few of them before, but I haven't been able to take advantage of quite a few of those, unfortunately. But there are a lot out there, and there are a lot out there for women-led companies as well.
Right. So yeah, that navigation or finding out what's out there does seem to be a bit of a hurdle. So, and Laura, again, how do you stay competitive with all the new products coming out that are similar to yours?
I'll start by saying that you have to be comfortable knowing that you will have competitors. People will always copy something, whether it's your branding or your packaging or your product or your messaging, whatever it might be. Like, there will always be people out there who can mimic that. And it's just something that you have to be comfortable with. And I think the most important thing is to just keep your head down and focus on what you're doing. Like, obviously be aware of what other people are doing and stay ahead of that. But just focusing on your own goals and where you want to get to is the most important. And I would also say, never get complacent with your innovation. You need to constantly be innovating and coming out with new products. And I'll admit that that's something that I didn't do the best job of over the past 2 years. It was such a big effort just kind of getting my product out there across Canada that once that happened, I think I got a little bit comfortable just kind of thinking like, okay, like I can kind of not relax a little bit, but just kind of maybe concentrate on other aspects of the business. And I didn't innovate for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And since then, so many products have kind of hit the shelf. And so now I'm kind of having to scramble to keep up with everything that's new and innovative in the market. So yeah, just never get complacent. I do feel like a founder's role should be to always be innovating new products and being the person that's in your manufacturing facility, always coming up with new recipes and new products and all the rest of it.
Great, thank you. And Angela, Judy's wondering where you produce your extruded products.
Here in Saskatchewan.
At what facility?
Here in Saskatchewan.
Yes, but at what facility, or is there a specific site that you do that?
The food center.
Okay, thank you. And do any of you have plans to include organic certification of the products in the future?
Yes, most definite.
Okay. And Haley, your products are coming soon. So.
Yeah, but our ingredients too, we are actually certified organic at our plant to process organic. The issue with pulses and fava beans in particular in Canada is getting that research for the agronomics of the organic crop and how that processes. And so it's kind of like a chicken and an egg reaction, where you need the demand to support the crop and vice versa. So hopefully as demand increases, especially just in pulse crops in general, there'll be more research to support the growth and the supply chain to meet that demand.
Right. Okay, thank you. So I think, Shannon, do you want to go into the breakout rooms for a little bit to wrap us up today?
So I hope you had some good conversations in your breakout rooms. A huge thank you again to Laura and Haley and Angela for giving us your different perspectives into your stories and showing us the resilience and creativity that is out there. And it was super inspiring. I loved it. So thank you again for everyone coming, and have a wonderful rest of your day.